I'm not going to allow the fact that I feel more comfortable doing nothing rob me of the fact that I want something.
Because we're living in a culture that glorifies instant gratification, discipline becomes harder because you become countercultural.
Right. Tomorrow is actually not promised, number one.
Yeah.
And number two, tomorrow comes quicker than you think.
Yeah. I think the difference between routine and discipline is results.
Yeah.
What are your results saying?
Oh,
because if
wow.
Hello and welcome to the To My Sisters podcast. I'm Renee.
And I'm Courtney, and we are your online sisters and hosts of the To My Sisters podcast.
Now, we are all about promoting the wellness, growth, and development of a community of sisters across the world.
And in today's episode, we are going to be talking about self-sabotage and discipline.
Ooh.
Lacking discipline can exist on an extreme spectrum, from lacking self-control in areas like time management and diet to more extreme cases like forming addictions. But as we strive to become the women we want to be, one thing that will determine how fast and how well we arrive at success is how much discipline we cultivate. So sis, have you been sabotaging your own success because you haven't gotten yourself together?
You are the saboteur.
There you go. But I can't wait to get into this conversation. However, we have a sister who is in need of help.
Okay, now.
So it's a ding, ding, ding.
What? Dilemma.
Okay, so here we get into it. Hey guys, I'm from
Hey.
South Africa and I'm a huge fan of the podcast.
Oh, hey, girl.
I've been an avid viewer on YouTube and I deeply resonate with what you guys are doing. So thank you very much. I wanted to ask about your opinion on unimpressive lives and living an unimpressive life, or rather a life that isn't impressive enough for you to be remembered for centuries. Is living an unimpressive life a bad thing? Should you have the desire to be remembered by many when you pass on? I thought this was very nice and different.
This is this is giving me existential. I'm really enjoying. I like it.
I thought we could philosophize for a little bit and see where we get to.
See where we get to. First of all, shout out to our South African sisters. They be holding the fort.
You really do.
You guys really have been carrying, and we appreciate you. And
we need to.
God, when are we finna be out there?
Oh, Lord, please send us
I'm ready
a
to
sign.
go. I'm ready to go. Send us a plane ticket, baby.
How about
Talking about sign.
How about that?
But no, sis, thanks for sending in the dilemma.
Yeah.
Should you strive towards
living an impressive life?
Yeah, being the next, I don't know, Henry VIII?
Yeah,
being the next
yeah,
Malcolm X, being the next MLK. In short, no. I think that part of the problem with many people who live very unfulfilled or seemingly unfulfilled lives is we're always striving towards things that aren't necessarily necessary.
Right.
Not everybody is going to be MLK. There's only one of him. Not everyone is going to be Malcolm X. There's only one of him. Not everybody is going to be Angela Davis. Lol, it's funny. I'm really picking. I'm really cheesing up the Black liberation movement
for the people.
Black power
by the people.
Hey, I said Henry VIII, so there you go.
There we go.
Dalai Lama, insert historical figure here. I think that human ambition is a wonderful thing. It is something that has propelled communities forward for centuries. Yeah. And there's no denying that it's an admirable thing to want to impact the world, right? We go to universities and we write these on our personal statements. We apply for jobs and we want to, impact change. But being remembered for centuries after, you're putting yourself under a lot of pressure. And unless you genuinely think like you had a dream, you had a vision, or it's absolutely strictly necessary, it's okay to live a life where you actually won't be remembered. Now, I know it's going to sound super, super like meta, but unimpressive lives are fine. In fact, I don't even think the term is unimpressive. I don't think you should label your life unimpressive. To whom? Because to you, that's an unimpressive life, but to many, that's a very happy and fulfilled life. Right. To be remembered doesn't necessarily mean that you've had a happy or fulfilling life. There are loads of dictators that have been remembered for centuries for the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons.
Hitler's name.
And I know that we're living in a generation, particularly on social media, Lord, I mean, at this time, if it's not a TMS episode now, if we don't mention social media and its effects, the internet now, forget patriarchy, social media. But we're living in a time where, because there's things like influencer culture, because it feels as though, you know, the things that you see on the internet right now of people's lives, it feels like there's some kind of longevity, or it feels like there's, it's going to continue to hold and stand the test of time. It can be really tempting to be like, oh, I have to be out there. I have to do things that really change the lives of millions of people. I need to be remembered for my life to matter. Actually, that's not the case.
That's a good word.
Value is not attributed based on longevity, and it's not based on historical memory, because history's changed. There's a lot of people who we remember maybe at the time they were doing what they thought was right, but ended up, you know, not being so favorable in historical eyes. This is coming from a historian, mind you. The fact that you've called a life in which one hasn't been remembered in historical memory over a period of time unimpressive, it's a problem. Life doesn't, you don't have to be remembered by whom, right? Like people are writing about you in like history books and stuff like that. To what end? I think really focusing on creating a life that's full of joy whilst you're here, doing the most as much as possible, and ensuring that you have a fulfilling life is the best that you can do.
For sure.
I just think that sometimes human ambition, have you ever heard of the what do you call it, the story or the tale of Icarus? This gives me Icarus vibes sometimes. Like human ambition can be very Icarus vibes insofar as we are flying, like our ambition knows no heights until we get to the sun, and then all of a sudden we get scorched. And you don't want to put the unnecessary pressure of having somebody in 100 years look at your life when you could have just, you know, lived and existed. The purpose of human life, at least to me, is not necessarily to have your story continually told again and again over centuries, but in the short period that we have, make the most out of it, impact as many lives as possible, give people after you a head start. But in terms of like memory and trying to impact the whole world and have, you know, history books written about you, girl, go have some fun, man.
I'm screaming.
But what about
That's
you?
really interesting. That's really interesting. I think one thing really just plays on my mind here. I think it's easy, like you said, with social media and also just rhetorics like change the world, like you said, human ambition and strive for like the stars and stuff. I think living an impressive life, not a bad thing. Living an unimpressive life, not a bad thing. And I think the idea even of being unimpressive, like I think you perfectly framed it, to who? And also, life is about making an impression. So actually impressing on somebody's memory, their emotions and stuff like that. So I think there's these ideas that people have about being kind of memorialized and, like you said, going down in history.
Yeah.
I think the thing that plays on my mind is, are you chasing the fame or are you trying to do something of impact? And I think that's the issue. Like, we glamorize being in the books, people talking about you, people writing about you, people knowing your name. But like you said, why? The reason why we know the names of the people we know the names of, and MLK, Malcolm X, Angela Davis, whoever, Gandhi, whoever it is, or like the amazing women who have done things in history, the reason why we know their names is because of the things they did. And I think if you don't give enough focus to following your convictions, doing things that actually change and help society, doing things out of pure passion, conviction, drive, rather than just, I want people to know my name, I think that's when you make a mark in history, right? When you actually say, I'm going to try and do the work that is entailed in changing the world. I'm going to, even the people that we know and who are in history books, changing the world has a price, and you have to make a personal decision. Am I willing to pay that price? Because there's many ways for people to know you. Like you said, not all of them good. And if the goal is just for people to know you, what benefit does that really bring you apart from feeding your pride and your ego? And that's not really what you should desire for your character and for your heart. I also think, however, aim to live a life of impact. Aim to live a life of impact that is not just on a global scale, but change the worlds of people around you. Leave impressions on the world of people around you. If you want to be remembered when you pass on, it's all dependent on how you live. Are you living in a way that makes people want to remember you in a positive way? Because people can remember you in a negative way as well. And it's not necessarily the flashiness or the how ostentatious your life is. It's more so about how did you make people feel? And like you said, how did you give them a head start? Or how did you also help them become a better person? What joy, or like you said, all these amazing things did you bring to their life? You need to focus more on the outpouring rather than the praise. People want to be applauded, but they're not really thinking about, why should we applaud you? And so then you kind of strive unhealthily, this unhealthy human ambition for things because people are attracted to shiny things, but actually developing who you are and deciding I'm going to follow my convictions. And yes, if me following my convictions, me following my purpose, me serving really well leads to me being applauded on a global scale for centuries, then so be it. But that's not the focus. I'm sure someone like Martin Luther King wasn't sitting down thinking, or even like someone like Malala wasn't sitting down thinking, what's going to make me make the history books? Right. No, you follow your convictions. Yeah. You follow, you stand for what you believe in. You do the thing that is real scary because you believe in it, not because you want the applause. And I think that if you focus too much on the applause, you're going to do whatever you can to get it rather than staying true to why you're actually on this earth. So that the idea isn't to live an impressive life. It's just to live a life dedicated to purpose. It's to live a life dedicated to serving community, dedicated to following your convictions, discovering who you are, what your talents are, and using that to serve people in your community. Only God knows how far that's going to stretch, but welcome however far it stretches, welcome it. That's what I'd say.
And if it only stretches to 2 people, then
that's a life well lived.
You've done what you needed to do.
That is a life well lived, and do not despise that, and don't also feel as though that discredits your work. The marker is not the quantity. It really is the quality of what it is you have done. So yeah, I just thought that this was a very interesting dilemma of sorts. Hey sis, this is a quick ad break from your sponsors, us. As you know, the first ever To My Sisters live show is happening October 23rd in London, our home city. Don't worry, international sisters, we will come to your city soon. But until then, we have got your back with virtual tickets. You can join us virtually on the day.
That's right.
By copying your ticket, which Renee is going to tell you more about.
Absolutely. So we have virtual tickets, which means that you can join in from the comfort of your living room, your cafe, your bedroom, heck, your bathroom, wherever you feel the most comfortable with your snacks, with your drinks, all of that good stuff. All you'll need to do is to sign up via Eventbrite, which is available both on the mailing list, but also across all of our socials. We have shared the link. It's in our Instagram bio. It's in our Twitter bio. Heck, it's in every bio.
Yeah, it's in the description of this video. It's in the show notes of the podcast.
Absolutely.
You'll find it.
And you can expect so much good stuff. We actually have a playlist coming out that you guys can vibe to and add some of those bangers and mash. You see what I did there? Add some of those bangers too. And we will definitely be engaging in conversations. It'll be an interactive live stream as well. So you'll be able to comment, you'll be able to share your dilemmas, and you'll be able to party and vibes with us, albeit virtually. So we are really excited.
Yes. So for all the sisters who may not be able to come physically, please do get your virtual ticket. Even if you're international, you can hop on our first live show as well. We cannot wait to see you there on screen, and we'll be on your screen. But back to the episode.
I like that.
Yeah, man. But we're about to jump into something that will help you make legacy, which is, there you go. Well, I should have said build legacy, but you know what I was trying to say.
That was good, though. You coming out with those segues.
There you go.
That was smooth, slip and slide.
Discipline. And as we were kind of listing episodes that we wanted to bang out for you guys over here on the podcast, we were talking about how discipline is so closely linked to self-sabotage. Because a lack of discipline, actually no, you're the one who made the point about the link, so tell us, why is self-sabotage linked to discipline? You let us know.
Actually, that was you.
No, but I want you to explain, because I think you explained it really well.
Yeah, no, I think that, discipline is definitely linked to self-sabotage, in the sense that if you don't have discipline, what the next step often looks like is self-sabotage. And this is not necessarily like, this self-sabotage is distinctive from slip-ups. On your journey of whatever it is you're trying to be more disciplined in, let's just say general overall discipline in your life.
Right.
There will be moments where you feel like you don't want to do what you need to do to get ahead, or there will be times where it's actually not possible to do what you want to do or need to do. That's not necessarily self-sabotage, but self-sabotage starts to creep in when these things become a pattern. If you have no pattern or no governing body or no kind of discipline, essentially, the opposite of that is self-sabotage.
Right.
Because you are literally, if you're not disciplined, if you're not working towards your goal, it means you're moving in the opposite direction. You're moving away from it. So when you don't have discipline, or when you lack any kind of structure or governance in your life, you open the doorway to self-sabotage, because you're not working towards a very specific goal or a very specific version of yourself that is at its peak. Then you start entertaining actions or people or thoughts that are actually the antithesis to where you need to go. So if you are trying to be more disciplined with, say, your diet, if you don't actually have a structured meal plan, or if you don't have any kind of like governing institution around that, then you open the doorway to self-sabotage, because you don't have any kind of guidance whatsoever. And all of a sudden, all the things that are not permissible to help you to get to your goal become permissible. And that means you thought any chance of success that you have, because it now becomes a pattern in your life. In the same way that maybe you're trying to have more sexual discipline. If you don't have a very key or very like firm belief system in place when we're talking about things like sexual discipline, then you will have room to move. You'll have, listen, one of my favorite sayings is, if you give the devil an inch, he'll take a mile. And if you don't continue to practice the art of discipline or having some kind of like rule system in place, then you'll practice the opposite. Something else becomes your ruler. And that's how self-sabotage starts to creep in, because you've normalized this whole working outside of something or working away from something as opposed to moving towards it.
That's really good. That's a really good conception of it. I think what's interesting though is, as people and as women with goals and desires to succeed, why would we become, in essence, what you're saying, our own worst enemy? Why would we be the one to set the traps that we fall into? Why do we as human beings self-sabotage? There's
a number of reasons why we self-sabotage. And I love the topic of self-sabotage because I'm definitely somebody who has been through the pattern and the cycle of self-sabotage, but also I'm just really, really passionate about making sure that people are not blockers in their own way. I think I said in like one of our previous episodes that sometimes you are the final boss that you meet at the end of the game. And for women, it's particularly true. But in terms of us setting up traps for ourselves, because as women, we are so susceptible to first social narratives, right? We are so susceptible to an imbalance of power. So again, we've got all of these voices, we've got all of these things that are competing to tell us what we're supposed to be, that we rarely have time or rarely feel like we have thinking space to define who we want to be, when we want to be it, how we get there. Because there's so many competing voices, competing social narratives, competing responsibilities, some of them false. It can often feel difficult to move towards your goals in a healthy way. And because of that, we set traps for ourselves. Another reason why a lot of women fall into this trap of self-sabotage is we haven't actually fixed a healthy image of ourselves. And because many of us are dealing with trauma that has actually contributed to that, some of us don't think we're deserving of the goals that we're setting ourselves up for.
So good.
So how can you actually set a goal if you don't believe that you are deserving of the reward at the end of the race? I wouldn't be motivated to run a race if I thought that I didn't deserve the trophy at the end. Doesn't make sense. So because maybe consciously you have said, I want to get, a house, or I want to get a healthy relationship, or I want to get XYZ. You've outlined the goal. But because you haven't done the work of understanding that you actually deserve the goal, that means you're going to be less inclined to actually plan and train for the goal, which means you've already set yourself up to fail because you don't think you deserve it.
So good.
So I think for a lot of women, because we suffer from things like insecurities, because we're still dealing with trauma, because we're still healing, we haven't gotten to a place of understanding that actually I'm working towards this thing because I deserve it.
Right.
Many of us, we've spoken about this in a previous episode as well. Many of us are not working towards things from a place of love, but from a place of actual genuine hate for ourselves. So we're not working towards a healthy body because we respect ourselves.
Right.
We're working towards it because everything else is telling us that we should hate our current form.
Right.
And that will only be accepted once we get to that particular point. And it makes it so much more difficult to get to that point because it's like, oh, do I really deserve it if this is what I currently look like and feel like? So understanding that you deserve what's at the end of the tunnel, what's at the end of, you know, your discipline, what the fruits are when you actually actively work towards something is why we often self-sabotage.
That's so good.
And then I guess this one is a little bit trickier to like talk about and swallow, but some of us are just lazy. Sometimes it's actually genuine procrastination. Sometimes it's the I'm happy as I am, I'm unwilling to change. And I think it's important to call that out as well. Because 100%. Again, accountability, all of that 100%. Jazz. But many of us think that it's almost the opposite end of the whole going through trauma and not deserving the goal. But many of us think that because we deserve the thing, it's entitlement, precisely. Because we think that we are entitled to a particular thing, we don't have to do the work to get there. So that's another form of self-sabotage because, again, I'm not doing the work. I deserve this. By virtue of me being me, I deserve this. So it's towing the spectrum between, on one end, I despise myself, but I also don't deserve what's at the end of the tunnel. And then at the very, very far end of the spectrum is, I'm entitled to this. I don't need to work to get this. It's mine. Right. So those are some of the reasons that I think us as women in particular can be our own worst enemy. But Miss Courtney,
no, I think I think you've given a perfect like roundup of them. I think there's the other one where you don't believe you can be that person on the other side of the work. And I think that there can sometimes be this idea that whilst I want this thing, do I actually believe, or I want to be this person, or I want to have achieved this goal or crossed this milestone? Do I actually believe that I am the person to be able to do it? And I think a huge form of self-sabotage is imposter syndrome. Though I may even have proof around me in my life that I am talented, I am smart enough, I have gotten myself to this place through, you know, pure favor and my ability to maintain relationships and be disciplined in whatever regard, and even if I wasn't very conscious of the fact that I was doing it, if I don't believe that I actually can be that person on the other side of hard work, or can be the other person or the person who holds the trophy on the other side of the finish line, even though I have all that experience and that proof, I just can't understand how good things are happening. And I think that's one of the biggest manifestations of self-sabotage people see. It's not even in the face of challenge or in the face of negativity. It's mainly in the face of success. I think people often see a new opportunity comes to you and you easily self-sabotage if you don't believe you deserve it. And not just the goal, but actually the things that come along the line of the journey, the people that come to help you, the people that give you opportunities. If you start to think, this is too good to be true, why is this happening to me? This is all going to fall apart, that I'm going to lose something, or something is inevitably going to go wrong. If there's that kind of level of paranoia, you easily self-sabotage because you're preparing for something which might not even happen, which is failure. Right. And I think that that's one thing that self-sabotage does. It kind of reorients you from focusing on success to focusing on failure, especially the places where you have failed in the past. And I love that you mentioned laziness, because I think a lot of us can get into this woe is me kind of mentality of, why are things not working out? Why or why haven't I got there yet? And it's like, because you haven't activated your legs and started to do the walking. You need to get up. So it's like, you need to, biggest man thing, you need to get up. You need to do it, because then it leads to kind of a resentment sometimes for other people having it, or a jealousy or a comparison. But those people are doing the work. You're just not. And you need to get up and do it. And it's not easy. And I think we even always have those conversations, right, about the glow up or leveling up, or whatever you want to call it, in terms of becoming the woman that you want to be. It is not an easy thing. And if you don't decide, I'm not going to allow the fact that I feel more comfortable doing nothing rob me of the fact that I want something. I'm going to have to get up and do the work, right?
Yeah.
If you don't say that, you're going to not achieve anything. We watched Shang-Chi recently and The Legend of the Ten Rings with Marvel. Stand up. And in it, what's that girl's name? Aquafina.
Mm-hmm.
Her character is told something, which is, if you aim at nothing, you'll hit nothing.
You've been holding on to that one for a minute.
Oh no, it literally just came to my mind.
Really?
Yeah, it literally just came to my mind. If you aim at nothing, you'll hit nothing. And I think that in that, you actually need to do the active work of seeing what you want, aiming at it. Yeah, you may miss a few times, but you've got to keep trying. But if you have actually no aims, that it may be a huge reason why you are being lazy, or you are self-sabotaging, or you are lacking discipline. You don't know where to channel that energy to anyway in order to cultivate it. So then I guess it brings us to a conversation it brings us to the conversation of discipline. Yeah. If you're not lazy, if you're trying not to be lazy, you have to cultivate discipline.
You must.
But why do you think people struggle so much with self-discipline?
Yeah. A variety of reasons why people struggle with self-discipline. Literally everything that we have been brought up with is about instant gratification. Right. Discipline is all about playing the long game. And because we are literally living in a microwave popcorn generation, everybody is looking for a quick fix, but the quick fix does not exist. And if it does exist, it comes at the detriment to something about you. So when we think about diet culture, right, everyone is looking for that magic pill, magic potion, apple cider vinegar, babes, that will help you get to the body that you want, not understanding that because it's such a quick fix, you're actually damaging your body in the long run. Whereas if you had stuck to a diet plan for 8 weeks, it would have taken longer. You would have gotten to the body that you wanted, and you would actually be a lot healthier. In the same way that when we think about other forms of discipline, right? Sexual discipline, when we think about mental discipline, about reading and stuff like that. Sure, reading a book will take some time out of your day, but actually if you just allowed yourself to get into the swing of reading every day, you would get to your goal of reading 32 books in a year a lot more quickly than trying to binge everything on YouTube in 1 hour. So I think because we're living in a culture that glorifies instant gratification, discipline becomes harder because you become countercultural. Right. And it's really difficult to exist in a space where everything about you and everything that you want is countercultural because there's very few support systems unless you actively go seeking them. That's really good. That's why communities, that's why friends, that's why the people you have around you are so pertinent when it comes to discipline. Because if you're living in a wider society or wider culture, which is surrounded by, things that you're trying to stay away from, right, the people that you choose to be around and the things that you choose to be around become all the more important. So a lot of us struggle with discipline because everything else around us is telling us that instant gratification is fine. Next, I think a lot of people struggle with self-discipline because they've actually never seen it modeled. Okay. Right. And sometimes not only have they never seen it modeled on other people, but they've actually just never done it themselves. Right. So sticking, commitment. A lot of us in this generation have commitment issues. Yeah. We have commitment issues. We are afraid of the long haul. We are afraid of long journeys. We are afraid of the future. What if something happens? I'm afraid of committing to this person because what if we break up? I'm afraid of committing to this person because what if they cheat on me? Right. I'm afraid of committing to this business because what if I lose significant amounts of money? Many of us are afraid of commitment, and we're afraid of the possibility of failure at a later stage, as opposed to the initial failure of, starting your journey or whatnot. So commitment is actually an issue for many, many people because that fear of failure, oh my God.
Big time.
Falling hurts.
Big time.
Failing
Big
hurts.
Time.
And it is even worse when you fail at a later stage. It's so much worse mentally and physically if you fail at being abstinent when you're 1 year in versus 1 month in. Right. You actually afford yourself more psychological grace. It's easier to deal with a business failure at the beginning stages than 5 years in.
Right.
Heaven forbid that your business fails at year 5. How will you come back from it?
Right.
So there's definitely that fear of failure, that fear of committing to something, that fear of really giving yourself to something and committing to doing the ongoing work that is required to maintain it.
So good.
And then I think related to the very first point about instant gratification, many people are not used to saying no now to say yes later.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. So denying yourself or seeing the act of denying yourself in a positive light is really difficult for a lot of people to grapple with, because we think that self-love is all about yes. But sometimes self-love is actually no, I'm not going to indulge in this. I think this whole culture of indulgence, right? Self-love being indulgent, self-love being I'm gonna do that. Exactly. Self-love being, sometimes love in general is not always going to be nice, cushy, comfortable. Sometimes the most effective forms of love, both love and self-love, is restriction. Sometimes it's discipline. Sometimes it's I'm going to put in the work now so I can reap the fruits later. So that's kind of what I think about self-discipline.
I think another thing is, because I think sometimes the instant gratification versus delay thing is interesting, because I think people procrastinate because they, like you said, they understand that there can actually be instant gratification that works. So for example, I don't have to do the 8-week thing because I can wait till the last week before I need to be skinny and do something instant. Do you get what I mean? And it work. And so I think also there's this over dependence on the quickness of things like technology, the quickness of all the things we have at our convenience, not because they're negative, but because they don't teach us process. And I think that that's one thing. Like, it's very easy to despise the idea of process when you do get used to, but I can do it another way, which is much quicker. And then I think it then calls into question this idea of time, our perception of time. I think a lot of us have this idea that we have more time than we do. And the only reason why I say that, and it's not to panic anybody, but I think as somebody who really dealt very badly with procrastination, this idea that I'll do it tomorrow, your security in the idea that tomorrow will come is very telling of where you are mentally. For sure. I think when you kind of have, and I think 2020 kind of gave us 2020 vision into the idea that tomorrow really is not promised, number one, and number two, lol, no, the idea that tomorrow is actually not promised, number one, and number two, tomorrow comes quicker than you think. And I think that that's where a lot of us, we haven't allowed ourselves for that to really sink in. A lot of us look back at, for example, I was saying this to one of our friends, oh my gosh, where did 2021 go? How is it September already? But as you're living out those days, you're not really cognizant of the fact that the days are going really quickly. So you also don't then tell yourself, I need to start doing more because time is running quicker. But rather you kind of get to a stage and you look back and you think, I've wasted so much time. So instead of kind of course correcting yourself for then how you approach the future, you kind of just get fine and just saying, oh, time went really quickly, but how much time did you lose? And how much time did you allow to slip away, rather? Because it's not that we don't have adequate time, it's that we're not spending our time wisely. I think the other issue is also, I like that you said commitment. I think commitment issues come because we don't want a feeling of being trapped. It's even like when we have conversations in our generation about choosing a career, choosing a spouse, getting married, this idea that no, those are archaic notions. I think our fear is feeling trapped in something. And I think what we kind of are seeing as being trapped is, like you said, commitment. Actually knowing how to stick to one thing is very difficult. We lack focus. And that's the issue. If you're scared of being trapped, what you're really saying is, I want to have my eggs in multiple baskets so that I can focus on multiple baskets. But the question is, how do you focus on one path when you've also got another 10 paths lined up for yourself? You've always got contingency plans. This is not to say that they are unwise, but this is in the sense that, have you committed yourself radically to something so that you can prove to yourself that you can actually do it, rather than I'm going to give myself a million contingency plans so that I never force myself to be a better version of myself, the person who can commit, the person who can see things through, the person who ultimately is birthed out of pain. And I think that that's an issue. We don't want the pain that comes with discipline, but pain births the person that you're desiring to be. And I think that that's the bit that as you're trying to level up, glow up, what you're saying is I'm evolving. That's painful. Yeah, that requires looking completely different to how you looked before. And I know everyone always says nothing really grows in your comfort zone. But I think it's more so about, it's less about this comfort zone and it's more so about expanding my mind and expanding my territory. I'm trying to do the things that are hard now because they're not my comfort zone till they become easy. Yeah. I'm trying to expand my comfort zone. And I think that that's one thing we need to train our minds to understand. This will not be hard forever. This will not, this season of discipline, the thing that I'm struggling with, even if it's something as simple as making my bed will become instinctual to me and instinctive to me if I do it for long enough. But if I don't do it for long enough, it will always be hard. That is one of the most hard things to really grapple with, this idea that if you cross the bridge now, you won't have to cross it again later. But if you keep standing at the edge of the bridge, like I'm scared to walk over the highway, I'm scared to walk over the water, you'll always be stuck in the same place. If you do it now, you'll drown. If you do it now, it will be easier later, or it will be normal to you later when you confront that fear, when you confront that challenge. If you climb over that thing, your endurance, your stamina, your ability to do it again, it becomes so much easier, right? But the longer you commit to it is what determines how easy it becomes. And I think that that you hit the nail on the head in that area of commitment. So then, I guess if you've been struggling with discipline, and actually I guess if you've been struggling with discipline then for a long time, what are some of the lies then? Like, I think we've explained it in long form just now, but some of the lies that we kind of believe as people about discipline that we can expel, and I guess that lead to self-sabotage, that we can expel from our minds as we go into this week, or as we glow and grow, as the girls say.
Listen, while you were speaking, when you said, mountains, I was thinking of Miley Cyrus's song. There's always gonna be another.
The worship song, that is the prophetic worship. That is the climb.
Yo, when I heard that, I was like, you're actually right.
Listen, every lyric, I'm always gonna want to make it move. There's always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. It's not about how fast I get there. It's not about who's waiting on the other side. Come on. It's the climb.
It's the climb.
Even the ad-libs. That's keep your faith.
Keep the faith. Oh, wow.
Psalmist Miley.
Keep your faith.
Psalmist Miley Cyrus of the upper secret room.
And then she came to the...
Yeah. She was in her prophetic bag.
Miley.
Yeah. That was a song birthed out of the secret
Pastor
place.
Miley. I mean, back in the day, because...
Anyway, Sha.
Then... or more evolution.
It's all right. It's always the choir members that fall. So
it's the drummers and the choir members.
Lead worshipper like Miley.
Fam. The common myths that we associate with discipline. Yeah. I think you already touched on the first one, which is this is going to be hard forever. Yeah. I love the fact that you said that, because in my mind, I was literally thinking of literally everything that I used to find difficult, I find
so easy.
Even when we think of like when we go to school, right? If you stick at something, it becomes easier. Yeah. If you stick at it for long enough, it becomes second nature. Yeah. I think that's really important, because if you have in your mind that this is going to be hard forever, you won't like continue to exert the same amount of effort. You won't continue to actually dedicate yourself. I think discipline also requires dedication. I love the fact, there were so many things that I love, Sha, but I love the fact that you touched on focus and sticking to something. I'll admit, I definitely was the babe that was out here multi-hyphenate, multi-poly. I don't need a niche. No. And that's not to say that you shouldn't explore.
100%.
But I think you should explore with the intent to find only a few things to focus on. Because the thing with the human mind is we have a finite amount of energy and attention span.
This is it.
And thinking that you can evenly distribute these things for extended periods of time is actually, you can't do that. We are not, I don't believe in multitasking. We're not multitaskers. There's new research on like super taskers, but that's like 0.11, like
You're not
nil.
that.
You're not
and
that.
I think that's even something
that.
like us that tell ourselves, I work better under pressure. I did. It's, you don't.
It's called high functioning anxiety.
100%. Have you actually given yourself a chance to see what it's like when you're not under pressure? And also, you're not always the exception to the rule. Stop giving yourself all this grace.
Fine. Do you know what I mean? It's actually
You're
fine.
giving yourself too much room to wander into danger.
I'm the different
Put
one.
yourself, and I love, like, sometimes you need to, like you said, sometimes you need to put yourself on a short leash because you know what it is you're destined for and what it is you're trying to achieve. Just because you've seen it work for other people, beloved, it might not work for you. And you need to be honest with yourself. Does this actually work for me? There are some people who get so much done because they wake up at 10 a.m. But if you wake up at 10 a.m., it doesn't work for you. You have to know, actually, I have to make more sacrifices. And I also can't be pissed off at the fact that I have to sacrifice more than the other people who have found themselves in the same place of success as me. That's just life. Life is not fair. You may have had to, it's like when you go to uni, right? And you meet those people who, you know yourself, like, for example, when we went to uni, we knew the hell and high water we had to pass through before we got there. But then you get there and you meet people who this has been in their life plan since they were 2 years old. In fact, they got in because their dad knows so and so. They didn't even have to do as much as you did. You can't be upset at that. That's people's lots in life. Yes, there are loads of structural inequality issue. We acknowledge that. But I'm using it.
No, because you know people will come and do the structural inequality.
I'm not talking about structural inequalities. I'm just talking about the fact that not everyone has to work the same
for sure
in the same level. Exactly. And you can't despise people for that, because God knows my children will not have that testimony of fighting hell and high water to get to where they got to.
We need to like stop glamorizing struggle in that particular instance, and also understand that discipline looks different at different stages. So what gets you to a place before may not get you to where you're going at the end, and it will require you to actually change your modes of thought. It will require you to actually adopt a growth mindset, because some of us are not getting the results we want because we're still using structures of the past. Some of us are trying to get, this particular body, but hey sis, you're 28, you're not 18. All of that stuff that you were doing at 18 is not going to work for you then. Your metabolism is different. Your weight distribution is different. Your life circumstances are different. Some of us are still trying to do up, I want to get bae. I'm going to put on this little dress. Now I'm going to be on the corners at the corner store. Beloved, they don't hang out at the corner stores no more.
Not the men you're looking for. Because there are some men who were there. I don't know if you like that.
Bruh, that is primary school boys. Those are secondary school kids and some creeps. So I don't think the corner store is where you're going to be looking for them. So understanding that there's different levels of discipline and that each level plays out to another level. So even when we think of like things like fitness, right? Yeah. What you got started in is foundational for the next step.
Right.
In fact, sometimes what you started off with will often become your warm-up for your next season. Yeah. And I think many of us are stuck in this idea of like, this is exactly what discipline will look like forever. Right. It won't.
Right.
It won't. What got you to the 100K revenue will not get you to the million. You need to do something different. Yeah. So I think
what will get you to the 100 million revenue is knowing how to adapt the things you've learned to get to 100K.
Precisely. So it's essentially training for the next season. Yeah. And seeing discipline not as something that is like super rigid, looks exactly like this in every single season is important. Yeah. With discipline comes fluidity. And I think because we have in our mind, if someone says discipline, waking up at 5 a.m., drinking your green tea, going to the gym for an hour, Discipline doesn't always look like that.
Right.
Sometimes discipline looks like dedicating 10 minutes of your day to reading.
Right.
Sometimes discipline looks like dedicating a full day to reading.
Right.
So understanding what type of discipline is required in each season is important. Other lies that we tell ourselves about discipline: we can be disciplined without accountability. Sometimes we just think, I'm just going to change everything. I'm going to be good.
Ooh,
no.
That's a good one.
No. Of course you have self-accountability. And that's important. Some of us don't even have that though. We don't measure. We don't try to understand, okay, cool. I've done this for like a month or 2 months or however long, but what progress have you actually shown?
Right.
Some of you are stagnant with your discipline, but you're stagnant. You're doing things that you know are clearly not working or they're not yielding the results that you want under the guise of I'm being disciplined. That's actually not discipline. That's routine. So I think the difference between routine and discipline is results. Yeah. What are your results saying? Because if you can run however long you want, but if you're not decreasing your pace, something is wrong. If you want to be a sprinter, right, you actually you need to make sure that your routine is yielding the results such that the time it takes you to run a particular mile decreases. If by the end of the year you're still running at the same pace, beloved, you've had a great routine, you've enjoyed your time, but the results are speaking such that you didn't have enough discipline.
Right, to reach your goal.
Exactly. So there's the self-accountability that's needed in terms of assessing how much progress you've been making with discipline. And then there is the other accountability, which is the people around you. And of course, we love to emphasize community here at TMS, all of that kind of stuff. But those things are important because you can't always rely on yourself to have either motivation or discipline. Sometimes you actually need to lean on people outside of you to make sure that it happens. Like, if you are the kind of person that's like, I'm being celibate or abstinent and whatnot, sometimes you need someone to actually talk to about those kind of things. Or if you are trying to, turn the 100K revenue to $1 million, or if you're even just starting out and you're trying to flip 10K, you will need people to talk to. Yeah. You will need people to be accountable to. So making sure that, yes, you're disciplined, but you actually have accountability to help you to get to where you need to go, both internal by yourself and with other people, is really important. So I feel like the most effective goals and the most effective progress that you can make comes as a result of making sure that you leverage everything that you have. Like, really, I think we glorified this whole narrative of the self-made whatever. The self-made boss babe, the self-made man. I did this, bam, I woke up at 5. It makes a great LinkedIn story. You see the posts all the time. It's like, I did this to make sure I was super, super disciplined. But how much further could you have gone if you had leveraged the people that you have around you to help you with that discipline? So I think understanding that discipline is not something that you have to do alone. You can actually do it with other people. In fact, you can actually go further if you do it with other people.
Love that. No, that's so spot on. I think in essence, like, discipline is really just a foundational principle. It, like you said, it looks different in every season, but it's the understanding and the belief that no matter what I need to do, I can actually make my body do it.
Yeah.
Being able to basically command your body to do something outside of what makes you happy and comfortable is a life skill we need to cultivate.
Ayomide, rise!
It is a life skill we need to cultivate, because without it, you will constantly give up.
100.
There are so many opportunities in life to give up.
Yeah.
Give up on yourself, give up on that relationship, give up on that friendship, give up on at that job. There's so many opportunities to give up. If you don't know how to tell yourself, I know you're uncomfortable, I know this is annoying, I know that there are faster ways to do this. I know that there are ways that are more comfortable to do this, but actually this is the way that is better for you. This is the thing that you have committed yourself to. If you can't then tell your body, so this is what you're going to do. If your impulses rule you, you will be living a life in which you are swayed by your emotions constantly. Being ruled by your emotions, very unstable. I know we tell ourselves to rely on instinct, but there will be times where you wake up and you think, I don't want to be a good friend right now. I don't want to have to be the bigger person. I don't want to have to be the person who constantly, I don't want to forgive. I don't want to apologize, even though I know I was wrong. I wanted to act out. I don't want to stick to my diet plan. I don't want to stay celibate anymore. In fact, I want to have sex now, right here. Ring my phone. Or I don't want to continue to do the things that I know are bringing me closer to the person I need to be and want to be. I don't want to do it anymore. When every part of your body, your hormones, your thoughts, your cravings are telling you you don't want to do this anymore, what is going to make you say, but I need to? That's discipline. The voice that says, but you need to, is discipline. Yeah. I'm not talking about toxic hustle culture. I'm not talking about external forces of pressure. I'm talking about the internal conviction to know I am on a good path here. I am doing something which is going to help me. And I desire so badly to have this level of success, or to have this thing that I am striving for, that I cannot allow myself to simply give up every time something more convenient or uncomfortable keeps popping up. Yeah. I need to learn how to subject my body to something that it does not like, because it will actually help my body to do so. Having that mindset, that's what discipline is. Discipline is a framework in which any life, no matter how it looks like, will be able to fit in when the new pressures of life and the new things which will require more of you. If you have children, if you have not cultivated discipline, they're just going to come in and still require things of you. If you haven't developed that mental fitness to be able to tell yourself, wake up early, when someone needs you, do that thing straight away. How are you going to take somebody who how are you going to take care of someone who demands more of your time? And it's not to say you can't do it if you haven't developed discipline. Like you said, though, it would be much easier if you had.
So much easier. And also actually setting up your life to make it easier to do so.
Because life can be so easy.
Stop debating with yourself. Stop it. This whole debating, and this is the problem, because we have given ourselves room to debate with ourselves when we don't feel like doing something. That's already the precursor to failure. So if you are somebody that needs to wake up early, stop relying on yourself. Stop debating with yourself. Set your alarm. Yeah. Do the practical work.
But the thing is, it's you set the alarm and you snooze.
This is true. Then you set the second one.
You snooze that too.
Then you set the third one.
No, but I mean,
if you snooze the third one, you need to go to therapy.
And that's what I'm saying. It's that thing of, whilst I can even create parameters around myself, because we all know the stuff. Make the plan. Sit down, make the vision board. Set your alarm for 3 a.m. Get this app that does XYZ. Put your gym clothes here, so that, but you still don't do. Now, this is what you still don't do it. You've bought 17 notebooks. You've bought a budgeter. You've done all these things, and you still don't do it. Ooh. That's what I'm talking about.
So you need some deep therapy. At that point,
deep procrastination.
Because if you've given yourself that room, like you've actually, everything else is set up, child, you're actually a problem. No, biggest man thing, because you
don't have a problem, it's you.
The problem is actually you, because you've put your gym clothes, you've got 4 alarms and you've snoozed them. You actually have a very deep problem. You do. Yeah. You need to seek help, maybe.
I think in that, though, it's less about, you don't need more things to help you become disciplined. You need to make a decision. Yeah. You need to decide for yourself, do I want this or not? No one's coming to do the work for you. Exactly. No one's coming to fix you. In fact, the people who are coming to help you, you will meet along the way. If you're meeting people along the way, it means what? You have to actually start going. Go and start walking that path. And I think the beauty of this, though, is once you actually do something you've been putting off, or once you actually get into the routine that you've been dreading so much, you realize that it was much easier than you thought it was. The thing that is making it seem hard is the fact you're delaying. Yeah. The delay is what's making it seem worse than what it actually is.
You got to get up. Yeah. You actually need to get up. Stop giving yourself room. Stop it. I always find that if I need to wake up early and I stay in bed for even 10 minutes, the rest of my day is finished. Because of that 10 minutes, because I've actually made the conscious decision, I'm not going to get up. You can't then be mad at the domino effect of the rest of the day being unstructured and falling to pieces, because you need to understand that there is a consequence for every decision that you make. So discipline is actually being very cognizant of the fact that it's a chain reaction once you have made that one decision, because it impacts the rest. Like thinking about exercising in the morning, the endorphins running, which means that you're going to be more focused at work or on the task that you have. You're going to have more time to like hang out with your friends at the end. Understanding what's at stake as well on the other side of you being undisciplined. Because sometimes we think, oh, it's fine, it's just the one. And then the one turns into the two turns into the three, and all of a sudden you're with those guys in the corner store. Do you know what I mean? Not to say that there's anything wrong with hanging around.
Oh yeah, 100%. But you don't have the life you wanted.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's literally understanding that, okay, cool. Sometimes going forward, you have to take 2 steps back, but don't let that turn into 4.
Yeah.
Don't let that turn into 6.
Yeah.
Don't let that turn into 10. And some of you are so far behind cumulatively, but because it has seemed like you're only taking 1 step back, you don't realize just how many you've taken back overall. You're still so zoomed into the micro, you're not realizing the macro effect of the decisions you're making every single day.
Very good.
And understanding that discipline is not just a choice, but it's a choice that you need to make every day. Every day. Like obviously us being women of faith, one of the fruits of the Holy Spirit being self-control, discipline. It's something you wrestle with every single day. Don't think that discipline is something that you can do part-time. You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. Maybe you can have off seasons, you can have off weeks, but understand generally the overall picture, you got to wake up and choose every day. Life doesn't just happen to you. I saw a tweet like earlier on that was talking, a lady was talking about her experience of just, going with the wind and letting life happen and how unfulfilled she felt. Because when you go with the wind, understand that you are the ruler of your body, the ruler of your mind, the ruler of your soul. And if you don't rule, there's no such thing as going with the wind. It's intentionality or nothing.
Yeah.
If you don't rule yourself, something else will. You'll be ruled by your addictions. You'll be ruled by instant gratification. You will be a slave to something.
Yeah.
So if you don't get up and go, you'll be a slave to your procrastination. You'll be a slave to your delays. You'll be a slave to the current image or picture of yourself that you despise, because you haven't tapped into the power that you have to control yourself and choose.
And what you'll find is that when you are finally ready to live a life of discipline, it's not something that will just switch on.
Fam.
That is the biggest frustration sometimes. I'm ready to be disciplined now because now I have that new job or I have that new thing. You're about to experience a real uphill battle. You better play the climb right now.
Uphill. Some people think that you're going to become the thing first and the discipline and the training will come. No, it doesn't work like that.
You can't force yourself or shock yourself into becoming the person. No, because some of us think it's like hydrotherapy. I'm just going to shock myself, put myself in this situation and I'll adapt. Depression will quickly latch itself onto you. I'm gonna know, but you know what I mean. It's like it's like, for example, like let's say summer holidays after the 6-week break, and your mum is like, it's a couple days before you're going back to school, and your mum is like, you've got school next week, and you're like, yeah, but it's still summer holiday. The days start coming, and now it's the weekend, and Monday is my first day back at school. But you spend Saturday, you went to sleep at midnight, you woke up at 10 a.m. Sunday comes, you went to sleep at midnight and you woke up at 10 a.m. Why? Because you've trained your body now on a new body clock. Monday comes and you think, crap, I haven't really been rehearsing how to wake up at 7 a.m. But because tomorrow is school, I'll just wake up. I'm gonna force myself because the situation, I have to be there. I have to show up.
Bruh.
When you do wake up the next day, you feel so battered and bruised. Battered and bruised.
Some of us are waiting for the exam to revise.
Do you get what I mean? Though that used to be me. It's not fun. No, because then when the time comes where you are cramming all that information, any serial procrastinator like I used to be would be able to tell you. The first thought you have is, I shouldn't have waited this long to do this.
Can you just take me?
I really shouldn't have waited this long to do this. I could have done this across. Why didn't I do this across 10 weeks? Why did I wait till 1
nothing that hurts as much as that I told you so.
And now you can't go back and reclaim the time. Time, a resource you cannot get back.
You really do need to practice before you become. Many of us are waiting to become before we practice. We are waiting to become millionaires before we practice good financial management. We're waiting to become a wife before we, think about, okay, what does it actually feel like to be in a relationship? We're waiting to become the thing before we put in the effort and the work that's required to maintain it.
And yet, like Michelle Obama said, every day is a day of becoming.
Oh, fantastic.
Becoming.
There
you go.
Wake up and show up as her.
That's it.
You've got to, because nobody else is going to wake up and show up as her on your behalf.
This is the thing. That is the thing.
No
one is going to do it for you. And you can't blame anyone when you end up upset that the fact that this is the result of the mediocre life that you've lived.
Bro.
The ball is in your court, sis. What do you want to do? And there's a choice that you'll make that helps you. There's a choice you can make that will keep you stagnant. There's a choice you can make that will even cause you to regress. You choose.
It feels like, did you ever read those Goosebumps novels?
No, I thought they were ugly. They look scary.
They were great pieces of writing back in the day. Basically, they were these self-read books where you were the protagonist and then you got to choose what you did. And then at the bottom of the page, depending on what you chose, you'd go to that page and continue the story. Sometimes we met a very swift death. If we chose wrongly and you had to go back you had to remember what page you were on, go back. Yeah. Unfortunately, there's no do-overs in this life.
Come on.
I was just thinking of that because many of us think that we're going to have a do-over. Yeah. That even when we fail, now it's fine. I still have 10, 20, 30 years. Some of us think that because we have the privilege of being young, that we can, fully fumble, play, all of that kind of stuff. When one of the biggest regrets across the board every time, because obviously I'm a nerd, I love reading like all of these like research papers and tests across the board. So many people who are in their 80s, 90s, when talking about their regrets, wished that they had done a lot of the things that we should be doing now. They wish that they had, worked on their physical health because they wouldn't have so many problems now that they're older. They wish they had worked on themselves emotionally and mentally so that they could be there and be present for their family. They wish that they had, taken the plunge and gone for that relationship and actually worked through it as opposed to leaving. They wished. I don't know about you, Courtney, but I am resolute in that I don't want to get to 40, 50, 60, however old I am, wishing.
This is it. And you want to learn from other people's regrets. Listen, you don't have to feel everything.
You don't have to experience
it. You don't have to experience it all. No. Learn from people who have experienced the thing that you're trying to ignore. Okay. And if people are telling you, if you don't want to live this kind of life, I wish I had done X, Y, Z. You better put your efforts into actually making sure that it actually happens, right? Because one thing that even us, I can speak for myself, even sometimes looking back on how I spent maybe the last 5 years, I wish I did this. I wish I had not do that. I had not have done that. I can now tell my younger sister, sis, don't do that. Do that. Try doing that. Don't avoid this completely. Don't do that.
Do not speak to this person.
100%. But I can tell her that because of now my hindsight. If you're having access to what you should avoid for the next 5 years, avoid it. Avoid it. No, learn from the wisdom.
That you can do better.
And don't think you can do better. Learn from the wisdom. Why? Because then you'll end up 5 years later regretting and in literal pain at the fact that you actually could have made better decisions and you didn't because you actually knew better. It's different if you don't know no better. Then let life be your teacher. But if you have sisterhood, if you have mentorship, if you have spiritual guidance, if you have books, if you have podcasts, if you have access to literal millionaires and billionaires, why are you trying to redo the same mistakes that other people have done and have let you know? It's like, for example, I just went down that road, Renee. Don't go down that road. It's a dead end. No, I'm going to go down because maybe
it won't be a dead end for me.
There's a wall at the end. It's not going to change.
This is an objective reality.
It's not going to.
You will not find the roads.
This is the thing. A lot of life's principles really are objective reality.
Yeah.
We all kind of are walking around the same circles. Learn from the people who went down the roads and discovered it doesn't lead to good places. Yeah, that's what I'd say.
I love that.
Learn from wisdom. Heed
Don't
to wisdom.
despise it. And I know that,
Don't despise
there's
correction.
definitely, exactly. I know that there's definitely like, the generation before us, they definitely made mistakes.
Yeah.
And sometimes their delivery of those mistakes and articulating how you should conduct yourself going forward, it's easy to despise them.
Yes.
But there is wisdom with age and hindsight. And sometimes when your mama says don't do that, you don't do that. Sometimes when, your grandma says, baby,
like said, that I told you so, it will come real quick.
It will burn very well. And Lord knows the aunties love that I told you so. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't give them the satisfaction.
Listen, heed to wisdom, sis.
Heed to wisdom.
Please, because we don't want you to be wasting your time when you could have avoided it. You could have avoided it. I mean, restoration is a real thing and I believe in it.
Don't let your ego be your downfall.
But don't let your ego be your downfall. Don't let the assumption that you can handle any and everything.
You can't.
Because death is real. Depression is real.
It really is.
Being broke, poverty is real.
Oh, broke is... Oh, girl.
It's a very real place.
That's very real.
It's a very real place.
Dirty.
So find yourself there by choice.
I'm sick of you.
Ain't nothing wrong with being there by,
like we said,
not unwillfully.
The whole structure, but if you're there on account of yourself,
girl, people can only help you so much. If that's where you want to be and make your dwelling, okay.
If you can make a dwelling with the materials on offer. If there's any materials on offer. Oh heavens, let me
literally making a house out of sticks and stones.
Mate,
it's all right. Listen, we're doing better. We know better. We're doing better. That's it.
Exactly. Wow. And in terms of being, just like quickly, in terms of introducing discipline in your life,
literally, that's the question I was just about to ask.
Look at me, foresight, baby. We've been talking about hindsight today. We're gonna go with the foresight.
So I guess saying. So lastly, to close this app,
it's
a very good conversation thus far.
Yeah, man.
In what ways can you or can we cultivate discipline?
Firstly, start small. I think because we start with the lofty goals, because there's such a distance to get there, it's very difficult to continue if we haven't built up the muscle of discipline. It's like somebody walking into the gym and trying to squat 100 kg when they've never squatted in their life. You will get injured. In fact, you'll probably not be able, you'll never be able to come back again because you're dead. Start small. Start with smaller goals in your life that are actually, you can see them. So instead of, going for the 100 kg squat, why don't you do a body weight squat? That's a good, get used to the movement pattern, get used to the feel of it, get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Very good.
Put yourself in smaller situations where you require discipline, but it's not as much as would be required for some of your loftier goals. So break up. It might even be taking that lofty goal and breaking it up into sections, right? So if you are saving for the house deposit, break it up. Save for the 1K first, and then save for the 5K, and then get to the 10K. Do this and break it up into milestones so that you can A, track your progress, B, assess what's actually working, and C, build up that muscle of discipline. Because I promise you, it's always the first bit of discipline that gets people. But when you start seeing results, that's like, okay, cool, there's motivation here. It's like, okay, I see this is working. It's like, okay, I see. There's a little fatty coming through from me going to the gym. Let me keep going.
Not me looking cute.
Not me looking snatched. Did someone say Coke bottle? When you start seeing the smaller results, it gives you motivation to carry on because you see, okay, cool. The stakes are actually higher. I could do better. So break it up into smaller goals, smaller milestones, and give yourself time to get used to it. I love the anecdote that you gave of, waking up at 7 a.m. on the day that you need to go to school. Don't do that. How about you give yourself a week? So if you're the kind of person that wakes up at 12 p.m. If you are, do you know what it makes me think of?
Please don't. Wait, what? What were you going to say?
No, I was going to say, do you remember in English literature?
Literally, I was thinking Wuthering Heights. And I hear it, you know. So you've woken up after 10 a.m. You've basically missed the day.
For those folks who have not read Wuthering Heights, it was something that we had to read in like year 12 for English literature. And it was hilarious because Catherine had a maid called Nellie. Yeah. And Nellie was one of those maids that were like, what are you doing if you wake up after 10 a.m.? Half of the day is gone. And that has stuck with us.
No, and you know what? She was spot on.
No, she was right.
Because by the time you wake up at 10 a.m., God help you if you're one of those people who then spends 45 minutes on your phone.
Bruh.
By the time you've actually started your day, it's like 12, 1.
So if you do have a penchant for waking up at 12 p.m., how about for the next week you wake up at 10?
Yeah.
And then the next week after that you wake up at 8?
Yeah.
Because you actually need to acclimatize your body to the changes.
100%.
Give yourself an acclimatization period before you get into the swing of discipline.
Very good.
I think because we often rush into things, discipline becomes intimidating, scary, and really uncomfortable to the point of actually detrimental to our health, because we haven't given our body, our minds, our souls time to acclimatize to the difference. So give yourself time, and then also set up your accountability. So if it is that you're going to the gym at 6, then baby, you better have your gym shoes by your bed. And if it is that, you know, you're trying to avoid going on social media, well, you can set up timers on your phone that say, it's time for you to go. If it is that, you know, you want to read 10 minutes every single day, then choose the book in advance. Don't be out here looking for the book on the, where's the, let me go on the, you know, find it and download an illegal PDF to read this book. You should have done that before. Set yourself. Because I know some of the sisters.
When I was at uni,
bro.
Do you know how many laptops I've ruined with viruses?
Bro.
Because I'm trying to find a document.
I hope the FBI are not listening to this.
I didn't. It's alleged.
No, it's
it's allegedly.
Not alleged. You know, these anecdotes are just representations.
Hypothetical.
And not
in fact, we've even changed the people's names.
I'm so sick of you.
I'm not trying to catch a case.
This is true. Instead of doing that, be smart and set it up beforehand. Yeah. One thing that I like to personally do is on my Sundays, like afternoons, I have a personal like admin day where I set up everything for my next week. So if it is that, you know, I'm going to the gym particularly this time on these days, I will know what outfits I'm wearing. Right. I will know what workout I'm doing. If it is that, you know, I want to, if you are a person of faith, if I want to read my Bible, I will set up exactly my Bible plan or like what I need to like look at or read. Decide exactly what it is you want to do and reverse engineer. So what are the steps that you actually need to take in order for this to become a reality in your life? And also don't see, I know it's really, really tough, but many of us lose discipline when we actually attain the thing that we are looking for. Yeah. But we don't realize that in attaining, we must also maintain. So understanding that discipline must actually become a way of life is really, really important, because we think, okay, cool, I can handle this or hack discipline because it's only for a short period of time or for a defined period of time. Understand that there is discipline that goes into your maintenance routine as well. So if you are, you know, I don't know, you are practicing, I was going to say practicing celibacy, but child, when you get to that finish line, you go crazy.
What? Discipline needs to be, if you, no, but
even then,
there you go.
Yeah, even then.
Things like, if you have a lust issue,
boy,
just because you got married is not going to soothe the fact that you have a discipline issue. Therefore, if you then find yourself, though in a committed relationship, still sleeping with other people, just because you've achieved the thing that you think would solve your problems, doesn't mean you can maintain it if you have not trained your body for discipline.
There we go. So understand that the goals that you are training for, you're also training for maintenance. It's funny because I saw a tweet recently that was like the biggest what do you call it, faux pas of going to the gym is the fact that you can never stop going and that you actually have to work out constantly to maintain a particular body. You guys need to get over it. You actually need to get over it with anything in life that you actually want. unless it's one of those things of like, for example, academic achievement, right?
Right.
You work towards it, you get it. But
Yeah.
even in that, the transferable skills that are needed for the next, phase of your life, where it's like your career, where you have to maintain a particular job.
Yeah.
Understand that discipline is not for just a defined period. It's actually, as you said, a life practice.
Yeah.
It is a life skill.
Yeah.
And it's something that you will need in differing areas of your life.
So good.
And then the last thing that I will say, because I've been nattering on, is focus on one thing to add discipline to.
Yeah.
Like stack them up, okay?
Yeah.
So if you look at your life and it's just a mess, and then you decide, I'm going to transform myself in 30 days, I'm going to focus on this, that, you're going to be an even bigger mess at the end of that 30 days.
Again, trying to shock yourself into discipline, it doesn't work.
Let them stack up.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, when you focus on one thing and you're disciplined in one area, you will find that it will spill over into the other areas because you've seen it happen, right?
Yeah.
So if you are disciplined and diligent with reading, you will find that, actually, it makes it easier for me to concentrate on my side hustle because I actually have more knowledge and wisdom in this area.
Yeah.
Or if you find that, working out consistently, right? It gives you such confidence in yourself and how you move and your body that it spills over even into, I can navigate social situations better. I can put myself out there a lot more. I can value myself and value my body. I feel more positive about my body, right? Understanding that discipline also has a knock-on effect if you focus on one and allow it to bleed into others. Right. So important. But
no, that was spot on. That's such
my
a great
conclusion. That's my ending.
Such a great conclusion at that. Everything that you said. I think, listen, this is going to be a process. Like, you can never avoid this conclusion to any podcast of ours. This is going to be a process. Give yourself grace and give yourself patience, sis. Delight in the process. Tick off them goals. Pat yourself on the back at the small wins. I got up this morning. I made my bed.
100.
I got up this morning. I actually had a healthy breakfast. That was a great start to my day. Then I got to the gym. Even if it means that this week, the only focus is, can I wake up 7 days in the week? And in fact, can I wake up? How about we start? God. For some people, that's the challenge. I woke up this morning whilst it was still bright outside.
I saw the sun.
Or like, I woke up at this particular time. Let me just master that this week.
Yeah.
Then next week, I'll do the whole making my bed thing. Then next week, I'm, like you said, stack them.
Next week, I'm going to do the green tea.
I'm going to do the healthy breakfast thing. Next, the following month, hopefully by that time, I would have gotten to the going to the gym thing. But if you stack them all and you kind of get yourself used to, take it a step at a time.
Yeah.
You'll make it.
100%.
Slow and steady
wins the race.
There you go. Well, sister, we hope that this has helped you. This conversation about self-sabotage and discipline. We hope that it has been a good start to your week, and hopefully Monday you can come back stronger.
Come on.
Strong.
It only makes you stronger. Na 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 na. Kanye West.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I actually know.
The disdain.
No, because I'm trying to pick up on the song, so I was thinking, she got to do it again.
Courtney, you need to come with like music references.
But you never start at the beginning.
I know.
Of like you always start like in the middle of like a verse.
I know.
That I don't, my brain doesn't work like that.
The chorus.
Anyways, so we hope that this episode has helped you. Definitely share it with a sister. For sure. But as always, you can come and join this sisterhood community by subscribing to this YouTube channel, following the podcast on Apple or Spotify or Google or wherever it is you are listening to this podcast. Hopefully you're not illegally downloading this. I don't know how you do it, but give us the stream numbers. We need the stream numbers. But you can also follow us over on Instagram and just let us know what you think about this episode by commenting or atting us on Instagram at To My Sisterhood. And if you want to come and say hi to us individually and see what we're doing in our day-to-day lives, you can follow this lovely, amazing lady at Renee Kapuku, and you can follow me as well at CD Boating.
That's her. And of course, you can join in the conversation on the Twitters, little bird app.
Little blue thing.
At To My Sisterhood, hashtag To My Sisters. We'd love to see all those comments. So bring them home, fellas. Bring them home. And of course, comment below in the YouTube. In fact, don't be commenting unless you've subscribed. Okay? You be out here commenting, you haven't subscribed. Join the community, subscribe. And of course, join our mailing list where we drop some very, very, very bright gems on a weekly basis.
We do indeed.
www.tomysisters.com has a certain ring to it, so you should go and knock. We're really coming with all of the let's wrap it up. But you guys have a fantastic week, and we'll be back before you know it, as always. Until then, keep glowing and growing.
Hey sis, this is a quick ad break from your sponsors, us. As you know, the first ever To My Sisters live show is happening October 23rd in London, our home city. Don't worry, international sisters, we will come to your city soon. But until then, we have got your back with virtual tickets. You can join us virtually on the day.
That's right.
By copying your ticket, which Renee is going to tell you more about.
Absolutely. So we have virtual tickets, which means that you can join in from the comfort of your living room, your cafe, your bedroom, heck, your bathroom, wherever you feel the most comfortable, with your snacks, with your drinks, all of that good stuff. All you'll need to do is to sign up via Eventbrite, which is available both on the mailing list, but also across all of our socials. We have shared the link. It's in our Instagram bio. It's in our Twitter bio. Heck, it's in every bio.
Yeah, it's in the description of this video. It's in the show notes of the podcast.
Absolutely.
You'll find it.
And you can expect so much good stuff. We actually have a playlist coming out that you guys can vibe to and add some of those bangers and mash. You see what I did there? Add some of those bangers too. And we will definitely be engaging in conversations. It'll be an interactive live stream as well. So you'll be able to comment, you'll be able to share your dilemmas, and you'll be able to party and vibes with us, albeit virtually. So we are really excited.
Yes. So for all the sisters who may not be able to come physically, please do get your virtual ticket. Even if you're international, you can hop on our first live show as well. We cannot wait to see you there on screen, and we'll be on your screen. But back to the episode.